And that's exactly what's happening. And so right now, it's my honor and privilege to introduce you guys to Tony Stephan. And Tony has a product that he's developed, and it's been helping people for 16 years. And at first, I got to say, Tony, I hope you don't mind, but he was a little reluctant, you guys, to allow somebody to take this MLM, not fully understanding it. And yet he's now embraced it. He said, Darren, the team and what you guys have there, and with Scott and Jimmy and the leaders that are joining on, he's really excited about that. And so, Tony, I'm going to turn the call over to you so you can talk a little bit about the development of Q96 and how it came about, some of the properties of it, some of the things that you've seen, and maybe at the very end if you could just kind of say why you've decided to partner with QSciences and not anybody else. And I think our independent business owners on the call would love to hear that from you. And so, Tony, thank you again for your trust and confidence in QSciences.
Wow, Darren, it's so wonderful to be with everybody tonight. I'm absolutely humbled. How long would you like me to talk for? I could talk for 4 hours, but I don't think everybody would appreciate that.
Well, Tony, they'll probably say all night long. I'm sure they're all raising their hands like right now. But, you know, if you go 10, 15 minutes and give them that, and then we're coming out with that video, that would be wonderful to just really give them an overview.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's so good to be with everybody tonight. Darren, Scott, all of the leaders. I'm so excited. I'm so humbled with what's happening here. And this is a story about family restoration. And each and every one of you will experience this. You'll be shocked at the difference that you're going to make in people's lives. And you know, it's wonderful to make money. It's wonderful to have an income. But the greatest thing that we can do in life is to touch people's lives and to alter and change them and help people. And you're going to have an opportunity with this in such a profound way. You're going to see it every day. You're going to hear some people tonight talk about how in such a short period of time they found hope and healing and health through this wonderful nano-chelated nutritional protocol. Sadly enough, this story starts back in 1994 when I lost my sweetheart that I was married to for 23 years. She ended up committing suicide. She had struggled with bipolar disorder for a number of years, and eventually she succumbed to it, and sadly enough, her doctor put her on Prozac. And being on Prozac, she absolutely lost it. And within 2 weeks she ended up taking her life. And it just left our family in a very traumatized state. Of course, you can imagine that. Her father took his life 16 years before she did. And it put me in a position where I had to hit the street running looking for an answer, because at that time I had 2 children with the same issue. Same diagnosis, bipolar affective disorder 1 with rapid cycling, the most severe diagnosis that you can have in the affective disorders. And as a father, I was absolutely seeing my family come unglued before my very eyes, and there wasn't a thing that I could do about it. Took my son, Joseph. He weighed 240 pounds, 15 years old, absolutely out of control, heavily medicated. Didn't matter what we threw at him and trying to help him, nothing worked. Counseling, medications, whatever, nothing would change that situation. My daughter was in and out of the psych ward like a second home. When she got out on her last stint, she'd been in there for 3 weeks. Here's a mom with a 4-year-old boy that's totally dysfunctional. And I'm sure that sadly enough you see people in your own lives with the same kind of situation. 5 different medications: Haldol, Rivotril, Epival, Ativan, and Cogentin. Powerful medications that were not bringing any resolution. And in talking to psychiatrists, I got the straight bill of goods. You're not going to see a change. You're not going to see this thing turn over and die in the sense that you're going to overcome this. It's going to be with them for the rest of their lives. And I took to prayer, and I took to fasting, and I took to searching. I talked to scientists. I talked to doctors. I went on a quest. I had to find an answer. I'm going to see my son and daughter's suicide like their mother and their grandfather if I don't find an answer. And it was amazing how over a period of time and a lot of prayer and a lot of patience that people started to come into my life that had little tiny pieces of the puzzle. I listened to a tape. I studied books. I learned about nutrition because I realized the answer wasn't in the medication area. I talked to hundreds of people that were highly medicated that were no better after years and years. Talked to people who lost their life, lost the life of a loved one to the chemicals and how it destroyed their liver or whatever. And eventually, like I say, the answers started to come piece by piece, and I started putting my son Joseph onto different cocktails of human nutrition, things that were put together. And eventually we hit the mark. I don't know how we did it. I have to say it's through providence, because had we been 10% off on this or 5% off on this, on the various nutrients, it would not have worked. But we hit the mark. And within 30 days, this is back in 1996, almost 2 years to the day since my wife left this earth through suicide, that my son came around within 30 days and no longer exhibited any symptoms. The next month in February, I started my daughter on the program, and she resisted it. We put her on the program and saw the same effect. She was off of 4 of her medications within the first 30 days, and within 45 days was clear of all of her medications. These 2 young people who are now adults, married with their own families, functioning every day, never having to look back, never regressing into the mental state that they suffered with, never having to have psychiatric analysis or evaluations, and never having to use medications their whole. My daughter wrote a book on this in Canada, and it became a bestseller. And we've never looked back since then. Since that time, we've put over 80,000 people on this program. We've marketed this product into over 100 countries. There are 39 independent researchers involved from places like Harvard University, Ohio State, University of Canterbury, New Zealand. All over. These 39 researchers are bona fide, they're credited from 14 different universities in 4 different countries. And now I'm happy to say at this point we have 20 medical journal publications in journals like the Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychopharmacology, in journals like the Journal of Clinical Psychiatry, the largest medical journal for psychiatrics in the world. And how wonderful it is. That's all nice. But I love to see the emails, the phone calls, the letters that are written to us talking about how lives have changed. And you're going to be a part of that real soon. You'll be able to affect people in such a wonderful way. It's a gift of life that you're going to give people. One of the head researchers, once again, independent, we don't pay for this research. There's over $25 million in research that's been completed, and we haven't paid 5 cents for it. And that's good because it hasn't tainted it. We haven't purchased or bought that research. We couldn't do it anyways. But Dr. Bonnie Kaplan from the University of Calgary made this statement in global television across Canada. Quote, unquote, this research may very well end up redefining how we think about mental illness. And that will be a huge change. Dr. Charles Popper, Harvard psychopharmacologist, well-renowned. He was an editor of a medical journal in the United States, a large one. In fact, it was the Journal of Child and Adolescent Psychopharmacology. He actually created that journal and passed it off. Here's his quote. At a large gathering in San Francisco of over 250 research scientists, he said, quote unquote, I believe that this work is already historically pivotal in changing the way that psychiatry will be practiced. Make no mistake, this is a historically significant piece of work that's being done. And now we hand this work off to you good people to drive this forward, to assist children that suffer with ADHD, autism. We will have a study, a double-blind study. It's not ours. It'll be published probably in the next, we hope, 60 to 90 days. It's a fairly large study. That's on attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. We already have a study published on autism with 40 participants. You'll be able to help moms and dads with depression and stress and anxiety. Most recently, the Ohio State University Department of Psychiatry published a medical journal publishing on a study with children and adolescents suffering with bipolar disorder and depression. Listen to what they found. A 37% decrease in depression in only 46 days. A 45% decrease in mania in only a 45-day period. That's incredible. That has never, ever happened before. There is not a medication out there that does this. University of Canterbury, study number 18 on the earthquake victims. Now, these are people who are not diagnosed with mental disorders or mood disorders, but suffered with severe anxiety and stress because of the 6.8, 7.2 earthquake that destroyed the city of Christchurch. What did they find? In a four-week period of taking, basically, Q96, in a 4-week period with only 4 capsules per day, significant decrease in stress and anxiety. And I could ask every one of you, do you know anybody that suffers with stress and anxiety? I think we could all hold our hands up for our own person. Well, this is a wonderful opportunity, and I'm so grateful that we're here with you now. We chose QSciences because of what you're doing and what you represent. I visited with the top people in your organization. I love the integrity. I love what your group stands for. And we're going to do everything to help put into your hands every tool that you need to make this successful so that you can go next door and change lives and alter people to the point that they're going to find happiness. If we only knew how much damage these mood disorders cause in our society, it's huge. It affects marriage. Our courts are filled with people. The burden on society is overwhelming. But here we have an opportunity to change this, and very, very quickly. Thanks very much, Darren. Thank you for allowing me to be with all of you tonight. I hope that helps you.
Tony, that was absolutely awesome. Thank you very much. And I think everybody on the call can kind of tell what a special event is taking place with QSciences. The products that we have, and Tony, thank you again for sharing your heart. Thank you again for trusting us with your product. And I believe we have a couple of individuals who have come on. Gloria, are you on the call?
Yes. Yes,
I'm on the call. Can you share a little bit about your experience recently with Q96, please?
Yes, I can. Actually, 14 years ago, my first husband passed away very suddenly of a heart attack at age 42. We had 3 daughters at the time. The oldest was 19, the middle one was 16, and our youngest was 7. And as well as we tried to handle it, we did. But my issue was really with my 7-year-old daughter. She had been diagnosed with severe separation anxiety disorder after her dad died. And she just knew that when she and I were separated that I was going to die as well. And so for at least 2 years I went everywhere with her. We were never separated. I even had to go to school with her. And that's how debilitating it was. And of course the doctors were worried that it was going to get so bad that she wouldn't even able ever to leave the house. So they suggested we put her on a small dose of Paxil. which I didn't want to do because I'm basically a natural health nut anyway, but I did agree. And it was after probably a year and a half or so, or a year or so on this small dose of Paxil that Alyssa in her 9-10-year-old mind took a half a bottle of Tylenol pills and wanted to kill herself. And so obviously I took her off the Paxil, and since then we've been just trying to deal with it through counseling and through natural vitamins, adrenal stuff, B vitamins and things, and nothing's really clicked. Nothing has really worked. And here a couple months ago she just said, Mom, I'm so stressed and I'm so anxious. I just don't know how long I can go on like this. She's now 21 years old and is in her last year of college at North Dakota State University in Fargo here in North Dakota. And so, and as a result of actually the suicide of a very good friend of mine in October, and then 2 acquaintances since then, and the common core amongst all of 3 of those people were that they were all on antidepressants, and more than one. It then kind of became my passion to find an alternative to help people that are struggling with emotional disorders. And so I just prayed, and I'm a Christian, and I prayed and just said, Lord, you please show me a way that I can help these people with something natural rather than a drug that's totally altering who they are and who they were born to be. And enter Jimmy Cossert and his almost insistence that we fly into Salt Lake City to meet with him to find out about a product that none of us knew. I think there was 24 of us he flew in, and we were all saying, what do you think it is? What do you think it is? And nobody knew. Friday night before the Saturday meeting, we were just like, well, we don't know what it is, but we do know if Jimmy's involved, it's going to be something really great, something really mind-blowing. Well, and it tears me up to even talk about this, but Saturday morning, Tony, when you got up and you started speaking, and what you spoke about was on depression and anxiety and stress-related illnesses, I wept. I cried the whole morning because it touched me deeply. And it was the answer I had prayed to God for just 2 weeks prior to that. So literally, I tell people this was dropped in my lap. And I just knew this was my answer, not only to help other friends and family members who were struggling with depression and almost debilitating emotional issues, but with my own daughter, who was struggling with her anxiety and emotional issues since her dad's death. So I was able to get some product and brought it home with me, and I got home Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. On the Friday morning after Thanksgiving, our college-age daughter was home with us, and I gave her 3 capsules Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, Sunday evening. Monday morning, she went back to college. Well, she went back Sunday night. She called me Monday morning. She said, Mom, those pills really work. I said, really? How do you know they work? She said, because for the first time in as long as I can remember, I don't feel anxious. And I tell you what, I mean, for any of you that have a family member that struggles with any kind of a mood disorder, emotional disorder, that's absolutely just the best words you can hear. And you know what? I saw that the joy was missing from my daughter's life. She wasn't able to fully laugh and enjoy life and have fun the way other kids her age were. And because of Q96, she now has her joy back. And I'm so thankful for that. I'm so thankful for this business. Tony, I'm so thankful for you, and I cannot tell you how humbled I am to be on the same call as someone as wonderful as you. And Darren, same thing, and Scott and Brad and Tim and so many of you guys, and then Jimmy Cossert. I mean, what a great, great guy. And you know what, people? This product is going to not only change lives, but it's going to save lives. And how valuable is that? You cannot put a price on that. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on this call and for asking me to be on this call. I'm just so humbled by that. And if I can even just change one life and save one life, boy, this is all worth it, guys. So let's go on this journey together, and I'll tell you what, it's going to rock this world, and we're going to have a great journey. So my husband and I are excited about this product and all the rest that we really haven't even talked about.
Gloria,
because this has been so great.
Boy, just again, thank you for sharing your story and the tears, and I think we're all kind of wiping a few of those right now. And again, thank you so much, and thanks for your words about saving lives, because I really think you are correct. That's what's going to take place. And Steve Peters, are you on the call?
Yes, I am.
Do you mind taking a minute also and just share what you're noticing?
Yeah. My son, he's 8 years old, and over the last 2 years, we've been going to psychiatrists and social workers and so forth because he's been having multiple issues in school and out of school, anxiety. A lot of them thought that he actually had high-level autism. So we actually got him on the list at Children's Hospital here in Seattle and the University of Washington. Both of them have 6-month waiting lists. And we just actually got through the procedures at Children's Hospital, and they diagnosed him with ADHD and anxiety disorder, high anxiety. And, I started him on Q96 last Monday, and immediately noticed a huge difference. He has a hard time focusing and getting his thoughts down on paper. He's never been able to do that. And Tuesday he came home with a 3-page paper for the first time, and I was just shocked. Sorry. And it's just been no ups and no downs, and it's been great so far. I mean, a totally different child. And I would just want to say thank you for this product. It's definitely making a big difference.
Steve, I can't thank you enough, and congratulations on the results that you are seeing so far. And, again, Gloria and Steve, thank you from the bottom of our hearts for just sharing the results that you guys are experiencing right now. And for anybody that questions where QSciences is headed, I don't think you have to look any further than these few minutes that have been on the call tonight. And